My name is Bo Rich, and I was born with something called cystic fibrosis, and I've been skateboarding since I was 11. It's so hard to explain it in a condensed version because it's such a technical description of it. And I mean, for the most part, growing up, I just said, oh, it just makes me cough a lot, because that's what it affects the most, is the lungs. But basically what it does is all the mucus lining organs, that mucus gets really, really thick and sticky and doesn't let the organs operate like they're supposed to. And the lungs get affected the most because there is a lot of tiny little airways that get clogged up. As of right now, I think my lung percentage is about 60 to 65% of what it should be for a normal person, my height, age, weight. I have sinus issues, liver issues, pancreas, all of that stuff I take medication for daily. CF is a progressive disease, which means it gets worse over time. So when I was a kid, I was in and out of the hospital a lot, but when I started skating, it was a lot harder to keep up with everybody else, but I never really wanted to make any excuses. So I would just push myself as hard as I could to keep up with everyone. Even when we did go street skating, I would be the last in the pack, just pushing as fast as I could just to try to keep up. But cardio and exercise is extremely helpful for someone with my condition because it helps break up all that mucus so I can cough it out so it's not in there, being a breeding ground for bacteria and infection and all that. So skateboarding has always kept me healthy and active physically and mentally too. As I've gotten older, I have noticed a lot more complications due to it. And I've noticed I've had to take more breaks and be a little bit more aware of what my body is doing and feeling when I skate. So CF affects the sodium levels in the body, and I basically will sweat out all of my salt. But that's happened to me several times while skating. I basically pushed myself way too hard. The first time it happened was really scary. As I was skating a contest, they didn't have any water, and I was doing well in the contest, so I wouldn't stop skating. And on the way home, my vision started getting blurry. I was really lightheaded, dizzy. Everything in my body started cramping up. I literally started throwing up outside of the window of my car and had to drive myself to the emergency room. I was there for 24 hours just getting fluid back into my body because I had sweat all of it out. That's happened to me a couple times, and that's probably the biggest thing I have to watch out for, just not exerting myself too much where that type of stuff will happen. The majority of my everyday symptoms are what people are really watching out for, especially now that everyone's so aware of the coronavirus and the COVID-19 pandemic. You see on the signs, before you even enter a store, if you have cough or shortness of breath or fever, don't enter. And I'm like, dude, I got 2 or 3 of those every single day of my life. But for me, coughing is completely normal. It's good for me to cough. It's bad for me to hold things in. And so I've always had to pay a little extra attention when these bugs would go around. I have to take just a little bit extra precautions so I don't get sick, because those type of things affect people with CF a lot more, especially because COVID-19, when it first came out, they were saying it heavily affected the respiratory system. People with compromised immune systems or any type of respiratory disease, don't get this at all costs. So when that happened and when the lockdown started, I didn't leave my apartment for 2 weeks, just didn't even go outside really. And so now things are starting to open back up. Some of the restrictions are being lifted. Different businesses are opening up now. So when I skate now, obviously wearing a mask, I just carry hand sanitizer with me all the time in my backpack. Anytime I touch surfaces, I just go take a couple squirts. I'm pretty much to each their own, but for something like this, it's just something that you want to be a little aware of, because CF being an invisible disability, you would never tell that I have a condition just from the look of me. So that's why we have to just be a little bit extra careful, because you never know who you could spread it to. But that's also why we just have to be a little bit more vigilant and a little bit more socially aware and just cognitive of your behaviors when you're skating. I'm never gonna stop skateboarding, never. Even when this all hit, I was doing tricks inside, trying to skate out on my balcony, going to spots around my house where no one was. And for me, I've always said that CF might make skateboarding so much harder, but skateboarding makes having CF a lot easier. If I don't skate and I don't have that in my life, then the health complications are a lot worse than the risk of getting sick. But it's always on the forefront of my mind. I'm always gonna try to be safe and be as healthy as I can, but like, I'm never giving up skateboarding. It's not happening.